Welcome to another edition of the morning briefing here on NoFilter.net. Jeff DeForest, along with my partner here, Mr. Mike Lubitz, and happy to have you along for the ride. This struck me as we've been following that Mel Tucker story a little bit. It's kind of an odd place to start with all of the football activity that's going to take place over the weekend. Certainly the very exciting things that have been culminating this week in Major League Baseball and other sports. Unfortunately, we have live Ryder Cup action that is taking place as we speak. And right now, the U.S. team is looking as much in pandemonium as the Republican debate, as just getting trounced over there on European soil. They may as well have teed it up at the ruins of Pompeii. It's been ugliness from the start. So trailing 4-0 as we speak, and not looking like they're about to raise a gallop anytime soon. It's to the point there where you're expecting Sergio Garcia to step out there and just hold a 15-footer to ruin any chances that the United States has to win this thing. But with this Mel Tucker story, remember, Lubie, when phone sex was 99 cents a minute?
I remember the commercials, and you'd always go, who's someone? How do you even know that that's a woman? And how do you know how attractive she is? Like, I never understood how people actually went through with that.
Well, there are zillions of forms of stimulus in this regard. I mean, I think back to my years in college, which it really was an epiphany of both, spirituality and, of course, sexuality. And it's one of the reasons that even if they had had GPS devices in those days, I would not have been able to find the Newhouse School of Communications at Syracuse University. Hey, which way is the quad, huh? Anybody, can you help me out here, right? You got a little dog on a rope so you can look very cool. This was in the hippy dippy era, and you're hoping that hot chicks just fawn all over you because you represent yourself as some kind of sensitive human being. But there wasn't a whole lot of studying going on at that time, which was unfortunate. But yeah, phone sex, 99 cents a minute, and it cost this guy $80 million.
Yes.
What kind of schmuck? For $80 million, he could have bought the Bunny Ranch and 2 casinos, like on Fremont Street in Las Vegas, and been fine. He could have had all the sex he wanted the rest of his life. All the girls gather around at the end of the night here. We all get together and bang one man. And that would have been Mel Tucker. But, oddball story. And, now he's bought himself a fistful of problems, as there'll be a legal maneuvering going on to the extent that I don't even think Donald Trump's lawyers could keep up with what's going to happen in this case as he tries to say, hey, Jimmy, I want my money. I don't know that they're going to be able to blow him off completely on that one, huh? I mean, is that moral turpitude or whatever that is?
Yeah. I mean, there's clauses, and they feel that they had cause. Obviously he's going to sue, and there will be some kind of a settlement probably. And he'll still
usually in broadcasting, the standard clauses and agreements portion of your contract, very much like new casino games, was seldom favorable to the person who was signing that deal. It was always a negotiating nightmare. Oh, no, you have to sign that. Otherwise, the rest of this is null and void. And essentially what that did was give you no rights whatsoever to continue as a human being if they decided someday to let you go. It was total ugliness. All right, Lubie, you know this, and we've talked about this many times, and you brought this up this morning in relation to another story that's very popular right now. And that is that we have been to any number in South Florida over the years of completely unbelievable, just complete fabrication type of press conferences where a team was trying to represent one position and you knew that it was complete, total, and utter bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
All the way. That the portrayal that they were trying to get you to believe was as much fantasy as anything that Mel Tucker could have conjured up while he was on the phone masturbating with that young woman who was an advocate for trying to teach his students and his young interscholastic athletes how to avoid being in situations just like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's really what she's there for. And he's doing
what has happened to the world? Holy Matt Getz, what is going on out there? Are we going to get paid this week? All of those soldiers out there, I mean, they're wondering what the hell is going on. All right, so, I can list you a few of them that were just absolutely preposterous. We have a good friend now. He's been around the Miami Heat organization forever. He was their original head coach. He had to coach those scrubs that they had. Pat Cummings, who was his best player on the court. Pat Cummings.
Arguably, yeah.
Who looked like he was half asleep, but somehow was known, had a reputation for dating and being with the hottest of South Beach chicks when South Beach was first coming into vogue. It was a bunch of alcockers in a rocking chair. It was known as God's waiting room up until the time that their conversion was made. They brought in a bunch of developers, and the next thing you know, bang, zoom to the moon, Ellis. I mean, and Pat Cummings was constantly being pictured and spotted with the hottest of women, even though he looked, I mean, I don't know if you saw Pat Cummings, didn't he look 20 years older than he was when he was playing for the Miami Heat? You were a young man back then. Anyway, they were trying to convince us that Ron Rothstein, who just had his dream job. Now, Ron Rothstein, if you're not familiar with him, was the architect. And it turned out he did admit to us on one show that he was a huge fan of pro wrestling because he had administered many of those and taught many of those wrestling moves to the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons. And that's where Bill Laimbeer got the idea to not only take Larry Bird up in the air above his shoulders, but throw an airplane spin like he was Bruno Sammartino and slam him to the ground with an Italian, making sure that Bird landed on his knee first and then the ground for the eventual pin. Had his dream job, Ron Rothstein. Even though the team wasn't very good, they were starting to, draft highly, and you were thinking there's an assemblage here of parts that may be someday viable to put together some kind of at least consistent playoff team or maybe even a championship run. So we were led to believe that he was going to resign his position so that Billy Cunningham and Lou Chaffel, Shifty Chaffel, could bring in their own guy, Kevin Lockery, who was a very likable guy. I mean, anybody in the media that came across Kevin Lockery thought, wow, this guy's a cool cat. Ron Rothstein had a full Jewish afro when he started coaching the Miami Heat, bald as an eagle. After 27 games of watching Ronnie Cycli be the black hole of offense there, where it was literally like you passed the ball into the Bermuda Triangle. Ronnie, where's the ball? You talk about a mechanical center. Anyway, so the guy has his dream job, and we're led to believe that he resigned because he was having a nervous breakdown, which was far from the truth. I did some shows with Ron Rothstein. He's as cool a cat as you could find, even in his 80s now. He's still like hysterically funny.
Yep.
So the likelihood that he was having a nervous breakdown over this was beyond Blutarski numbers. It was 0.0, and they tried to sell us that. And then later on in Miami Heat, same thing. Very reputable organization. Is there a reason that there's some resentment around the league about the Miami Heat, Lubie? Is it because they try to pull off any number of farcical incidents?
They win no matter what, and there's not really any other organization. Even the Spurs have fallen off. Like the Heat over the last 25 years, every time you think you can count them out, they always find a way to get back into the fold. And that pisses
even though they got stiffed on this Damian Lillard thing.
Yes.
By Joe Cronin, who apparently this Cronin treated Pat Riley the very same way that Shaq's people did when he was out in Las Vegas. Pat Riley has no luck in Las Vegas. Shaq says, hey, you know what? I mean, they had to be just pulling his chain when they said, hey, Pat, could you meet us in the coffee shop of the Circus, one of the sleaziest hotels on the Strip? Still old school. There's so much smoke in there that they actually have an oncologist on site. So if you're playing the slot machines, you're likely to find yourself getting a medical exam shortly after sitting down and not even being down $50 yet. Anyway, and he got stiffed there by Shaq. And then apparently Cronin was in Las Vegas for summer league activity, gets on the phone with the Heat organization and the people that are making the call there, which is essentially Pat Riley, and says, you know what, Pat, you want Damian Lillard? Go fuck yourself. It's not happening. Yeah. I wouldn't trade him to you. I mean, and then, made several references that were not particularly flattering about the Riley legacy. And, I think he even cut down Magic Johnson while he was going through this tirade. All right. So we're led to believe, though, that and they're trying to tell us that Stan Van Gundy, who also had achieved his dream job, Stan Van Gundy, he loves this stuff. When you hear him talk about it on the broadcasting teams that he's been with, TNT, I guess now, has he teamed up with the great Iron Eagle? I think so.
Yes, he does Iron.
You can sense this man's love for the game. You can clearly see it shining through. So he has a dream job. Yeah, and were you at that press conference by any chance there, Stan Van Gundy, or was that before you got into the media there, Lubie?
I was in college, and I remember them losing to the Pistons. It was very frustrating, and then magically, Pat Riley's now taking over.
Exactly, yeah. And there's Shaq with a big smile on his face,
Exactly.
saying, "Got that bum out of here." So Stan supposedly, I mean, to represent this to the public, they said that Stan Van Gundy had an epiphany, and in spite of the fact that he finally had achieved his dream job and it looked like he was going to have a championship caliber team,
Yep.
that he decided he wanted to take his daughter, his 14-year-old daughter, to Disney World. That suddenly became much more important to him, even though he later took on even more challenging
Yes.
jobs, like becoming the chief operating officer and head coach at the same time of the
Yes.
Detroit Pistons,
Yes.
an organization that essentially is sitting on the brink of doom. No
Yep.
matter how many favorable draft picks they get, and no matter how many times they're in the lottery, they can't seem to ever get it together. So I mean, he more than made a commitment to. I guess one trip to Disney World, like it did with me, would convince you. I never want to go back there again.
Done.
Yeah, you can have your. It's a small world and shove it up your ass. And is there anything worse than not being able to get that song out of your head on the way back from a dreadful trip to Disney World, where your pocketbook was so and your wallet was so drained that you're thinking about taking out a second mortgage on your house, or even just turning it over to Walt himself at the gravesite, giving him a quick claim deed and saying, "Here, take my house, please. I don't want to pay $8 for another ice cream with two little chocolate ears on it. It's a small world after all." So they try to convince us that Van Gundy was quitting because he wanted to spend more time with his family. That's total bullshit. And then, of course, the classic was when Don Shula supposedly was embracing the idea that he should step aside so that Jimmy Johnson, a man he despised,
Yep.
could become the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Having witnessed all that, and having witnessed any number of times, whether you're watching Sports Center or you're actually at one of these press conferences or you're reading an account of it, where, I mean, the biggest lies ever told at a press conference come not at a Bob Menendez denial and denouncement of the charges against him in this bribery case, where, so yeah, you guys want some guns? My Egyptian friends, thank you. But who else has like gold bars stuffed in a cubicle somewhere off the bedroom? And this was great. I mean, he blamed his Cuban heritage for this. That he had this obsession with stashing stuff away because he was worried that the government was somehow going to come in and seize his property, which ironically is exactly what they're about to do.
Exactly.
All right, so and that's a great denial too. That's woman thing that this guy is exhibiting. But you brought it up earlier on the show that we did this morning, Libby. This thing with Robert Saleh, and I don't mean to be possessed or obsessed with the Zach Wilson
Zach
situation in
Wilson,
New York,
yeah.
because you know what, it's time to just lay off the kid, is it not? If he ever
Well, yeah,
develops
I
into
mean,
something good, then applaud it.
it is what it is at this point. You know what he is. You don't have to keep belaboring the point.
No, I mean, how many times you need to dump on the same guy?
Yep.
And we know the guy hasn't been very good, and that was the reason that they went out and got Aaron Rodgers in the first place at great sacrifice and at a great price, and it didn't work out. And as we said, I mean, the happiest people in the universe about Aaron Rodgers going down are the many bookmakers that had all those prop bets from optimistic Jet viewers and backers that thought, oh, yeah, I don't know. What was the over under total? What was it, like
9
10
and a
and a
hook.
half games, something like
I think it
that?
was
9 and a hook.
9
You
and
had to think
9.
they were going to win 9 and a hook with Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers
yeah.
at quarterback. No?
Yeah, I didn't think the Super Bowl stuff was real, but I thought they'd win 10 games. I definitely thought they'd win 10.
But there were people that got involved, not only with the
Oh, yeah.
over on the number of wins, but when the division in the AFC East, all of a sudden
Yep.
they were a big threat. People saw the Bills
Yeah.
slipping. They don't believe in the Miami Dolphins yet, even as we speak, going into this game against Buffalo. The Bills are favored by 2 and a hook, which would you be tempted to take that, Mike Lubie Lubitz?
I don't know. I feel like it's the Bills have something to prove here, and the Dolphins have sort of proved a lot. But yes, I mean the way the Dolphins are playing, they're underdog. You always want to get points with a team that you have confidence in.
It's a slim margin, actually, that you're getting there because the normal accord would be 3 points for the home field alone and two evenly matched teams. So the bookies and the people that are setting it in so far, very, 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 very slight lead towards the Miami Dolphins in that game. But the game that everybody's thinking is just going to be blowout city is Kansas City and the New York Jets. And so
Yes.
you brought this up. I mean, talk about press conferences where You are being sold just an absolute crock of shit. And you can feel, some empathy for Robert Saleh. He was supposed to have a good team. He appears to be a decent guy. I don't know that he stands or for or represents anything that you would find reprehensible in any way. I mean, he says the right things, but they keep pounding him about whether Zach Wilson is his quarterback. And yeah, I mean, it's not like he's going out there and saying, yeah, that's my man. And then on top of that, Joe Willie, one of our favorites, is continuing to complicate the situation to the point where you almost wish that instead of this bashing that Joe Willie was doing about the Jets organization, that he would just offer to kiss Susie Colbert again. I think he'd be more popular if he did that. If he just grabbed her like he was that Spanish soccer guy and pulled her forward and said, "Yeah, how about a little smooch, Susie? I'd love to kiss you." So, I mean, the Jets find themselves in a situation where they're defending the indefensible.
Yes.
And you were saying that Salah was, giving it the old homina until finally he just said, "You know what? Fuck this. The guy's not very good."
No, he said it took him 3 minutes to say the words, "Zach Wilson gives us the best chance to win." And he said it just like that. He said it without any emotion. And it took him 3 minutes to say that.
And he's off the hook this week, though, because, nobody would expect the Jets to beat the Chiefs, and they might find it prohibitive against the Chiefs, even if Aaron Rodgers was still there. And B, I mean, the other thing that really is monumental is that their offensive line is, it has more holes in it than an O.J. Simpson alibi, doesn't it? What were you doing, Mr. Simpson, with the black outfit on? I was hitting golf balls in the front yard, man, at midnight. Exactly. Everybody in Beverly Hills does that. You see, right down the street there. I mean, you're looking at Aaron Spelling. He's out there hitting golf balls before he checked out. And it looks really ugly. I mean, I don't know that anybody would have a chance playing behind that Jets offensive line where they had to move this guy who was a huge mistake. I thought he was going to be good, Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
So the guy's been benched. He's been injured. They finally had to plug him in at right tackle in an act of desperation, and now they have him at left tackle. Yep. You're talking about blindside. I mean, holy Sandra Bullock. That story may have been bullshit, but there's something to be said for having your blindside protected, and that's not happening with the Jets. Taylor Swift, though, is going to get them off the hook there. When they lose to Kansas City, Taylor Swift being there is going to steal all of the attention for that New York Jet game. By the way, and a friend of ours pointed this out, you will not see, is Travis Kelce selling everything? You will not see Taylor Swift in a Subway sandwich commercial, will you?
No. Even though she could use it.
There was a golfer, Charles Howell III. I don't know if you remember this guy. He was about 120 pounds.
Yep.
I mean, you talk about skin and bones. That was Charles Howell III. And I actually got kicked out of Doral one year. He was doing okay, and I'm following the group that he was in. And he took a swing, and I didn't yell anything like, "You the man," or I just said, "Somebody throw him a sandwich." Don't you feel that way about Taylor Swift?
100%.
Somebody throw this woman a sandwich, please.
Exactly.
That would be great. All right, best of luck with your bets. Let's hope that Al Golden learns to count to 11. Defensive coordinator there for Notre Dame. Thanks very much, Al. We had him here. We tried to believe in him when he was the head coach of the University of Miami. Well, he won a Temple.
Yeah, there you go.
I won a Temple last week, too. I scalped my Yom Kippur tickets. Got $300 a pop. It cost me $150 face. That was great. Prime, is it another beating coming up for Deion Sanders, USC?
Whooping. USC this Saturday, 12 o'clock.
USC, Eastern. No defense. The over looking very attractive in that game, no?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And Ryder Cup so far a disgrace. I root for the U.S. to win at everything, but they are getting annihilated so far by the European team. So let's hope that's a trend that changes. Otherwise, maybe it's time to re-examine exactly what we're looking at here with these PGA members who are screaming about the Live Tour and instead possibly should be worrying about the fact that they're losing to a bunch of nondescript European schmanks, Louis. We don't like it. All right, we'll see you next time. We should have a license to steal posted
Yes.
later on No Filter.net. We're going to attempt this.
Yep.